we are. Oh no. Okay, this time. Okay, today is Yoga for Strength, 60-minute class. This week's theme is consciously direct your energy. So we are going to move with the bands today. So we're going to use the bands. If you don't have the bands, you're just going to imagine that you have the band. If you have a couple of different strengths of bands, grab a couple of different strengths because we are going to use them and challenge ourselves to consciously move and strengthen some of our stabilizer muscles today. So we're going to start down on our backs, having your band handy. Start to land in the room. Start to let go of what has been before and what has yet to come. Find your breath in your body. And think about your breath being a source of energy. And think about consciously drawing it in nice and slow. And then consciously fully emptying your lungs. Also nice and slow. Really focusing in on your breath. Slowing down and using your breath as a guide to land in the present moment. And every time you find yourself pulled away by the mind, just gently returning to focus on the breath. And then we're going to take our feet up to the ceiling. We're going to wiggle our feet, wiggle our toes, start to just feel the legs. Notice what is present. So take some movement, feel your feet, move your feet in circles, take some ankle circles, really starting to feel what is present in the legs. Notice. And then mindful that we're going to use our stomach muscles to stabilize us. Push your hips down into the ground. Push your rib cage down into the ground. And we're going to start to pedal out the legs as if we're riding a bicycle. So press one foot up to the ceiling, bend the other leg, and then we'll switch. Nice and slow. Move with your breath. Starting to really feel the muscles of the legs. Noticing if your back is doing too much work here. So mindful. Fire up the stomach muscles to keep you stabilized. And really keep the focus in the leg muscles, pedaling out the legs. And then maybe take your feet a little bit more towards a wall, kind of halfway between the floor and the ceiling. Again, keeping your stomach engaged to stabilize the hips and the back. Really trying to feel what is present in the legs. And then take the knees a little wider. So you're bringing your knees up to a shoulder as you're pedaling. A little wider, starting to use some of the inside and outside muscles of the legs. And then bring your knees in, gently give yourself a little hug. Bring both feet down, knees up. Take the right foot and then cross it in underneath the left knee. So little figure four shape with the leg. Press the right knee away from you with the muscles of the leg. See if you can feel the muscles of the right leg. Stabilize the hips by pressing them down into the ground. Maybe pull the toes of the left foot up. See what's present in the hip. And then if you like, you can try pulling the hips up with this shape. So lifting the hips up off the ground. Try to remain very engaged in both the back of the left leg, the glutes, the stomach, as well as this right leg. Strong and active. Find as many muscles as you can. Breathe. And then lower the hips. Unravel the right leg. Take a little side sway of the hips, left and right. Take the left ankle, cross it underneath the right knee. Press the left knee away from you. So really finding the muscles of the left leg first. Trying to find the hip. And then either pulling up the right toes or keeping it where it is. Trying to keep the hips nice and stable on the ground at first. And then we're going to engage the back of the right leg, the glutes. Pull the hips up, lift. Keeping the left leg active. So you're still pulling the left knee away from you. Now it's kind of pulling down towards the ground also. Breathe. And lower the hips. Unravel the leg. Take a little side sway of the knees. And bring the knees in. Give yourself a little hug. And then roll on over to a side, make your way to tabletop. Starting to move and breathe in tabletop. So inhale, tabletop, exhale towards a child's pose shape. Moving with your breath, inhale forward, exhale back. Starting to move with your breath, starting to have your own practice. What is present in your own body? Maybe taking some sways side to side with the hips, maybe moving more of a wave through the back. And then bring it to tabletop. Lift up out of the ground with the muscles of the chest. So not sagging in the shoulders, not sagging in the low back. Take the right leg up even with the hip. Hold it here, engage. And then we're going to take the right heel out towards the right and then back in. Inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze it back. Nice and slow. Engaging and consciously moving your leg. So this is me flopping my leg around. This is me consciously pulling up, trying to remain strong in the muscles, resisting the movement. Inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze past, maybe starting to come past the left leg. Watching for movement in the back. We're just trying to work through the leg and the hip. And then take the right leg past the left. Lower the toes down. And then creep the right fingers out. So nice long stretch from the right fingertips to the right toes. And drop the head wherever the neck is comfortable. And breathe. Slowly come back to tabletop and set up for the other side. So engaging the chest first. Lift the left leg, hold and hover. Nice and strong in the left leg. Watch for buckling in the back, and then we're going to inhale, pull the left leg towards the left. Exhale as we pass the right leg. Inhale. Exhale, past. Slow, controlled, conscious movement. Move with your breath. Try to find more muscles to stay connected with. As if you're looking inside and trying to figure out with every movement which muscles we're using. Finding mind-body connection. And then take the left leg all the way past the right. Lower the toes, creep the left fingers out. Find nice long left side body stretch. Lower the head wherever the neck is comfortable. Breathe. And then bring it up to tabletop. Take the right leg out, lower the toes, press through the heel. Open up the back of the right leg. You can hold this static or you can take little pulses back and forth. Back to tabletop, lift the right leg, bend the knee, and press the heel up to the ceiling, little pulses. Consciously moving, so it's long, strong in the chest and shoulders, watching for buckling in the back. Engage right leg, engage glute. And then lower the right knee, left leg back, press the toes down, press through the heel. And then come back to tabletop, lift the left leg, bend the knee, heel to the ceiling. Little tiny, slow pulses, engaging the glute. Pull the heel up to the ceiling. Watch for buckling in the shoulders. Soften the face. And then lower the right knee, tuck the toes, down dog. Find your down dog, warm up your down dog in whatever way feels right for you. Bending the knees, swaying the hips. And then find the stillness of down dog. Turn your world upside down. Find nice, slow, control breath. Conscious breath. Trying to keep your arms and shoulders strong and still. Little bend in the knees. Slowly peel the right heel up to the ceiling as slow as you can without moving the arms and shoulders. And then press the heel a little more to the ceiling. Lengthen. Engage right leg. And then we're very slowly going to pull the right knee towards the nose while lifting the chest up, hollowing out the chest. Slow, controlled, conscious movement. Pull forward. Then back to three-legged dog. Go as slow and as consciously as you can, really thinking about how this movement is made. Pulling forward nice and slow. And then back to three-legged dog. And then this time pull forward, hold your knee towards your nose, and then step through for low lunge. You have your blocks, grab your blocks. And we're gonna move and breathe. Bending the leg, inhale, exhale towards straight. Move through the muscles of your legs, feeling, exploring, moving with your breath. And then find low lunge. Strong legs, both legs strong, as if you're pulling yourself up out of this right leg, little bit lifted off the thigh. Lengthen the spine.
Consciously send energy all the way down the left leg. And then we're going to pull forward, weight onto right leg, pull the left heel towards the glute, nice and slow. And then back. Consciously moving, slowly pull left heel towards the glute, and then back. Slow as you can. And then if you want to challenge your balance, you're going to lift your fingertips up off the ground or off your blocks. Slow, conscious, controlled movement. Both legs strong and active the whole way through. And watching your breath. Inhale as you come forward. Exhale as you slowly lower. And then see if you can come forward and hold the heel towards the glute. Hover here. Maybe if you're on the block still, you can challenge yourself, lift up. We're going to take little tiny half squats here. So it's a teeny controlled movement. Bend the right knee and then lift. It's this tiny little movement. Watch for lots of swing in the hips. So watch for wiggling of the hips. Try to remain strong and in control. Consciously move. Right glute should be firing up. Slowly lower the back heel down, back foot down, high lunge. Lift your arms up, lengthen, breathe. Frame out the front foot. Right foot meets left, high plank. Breathe and hold. Lift out of the ground. And then straight to down dog. Connect with your down dog, your head below your heart, conscious breath. Notice left and right sides. Notice what's different. Maybe that right glute is burning, fired up. And then strong in the arms and shoulders. A little bend in the knees without moving the arms and shoulders. Slow as you can. Lift the left heel towards the ceiling. And then push the left heel as far as you can towards the ceiling. Nice and strong. And then that conscious movement. Pull the left knee towards the nose as slow as you can while hollowing out the chest, rounding out. And then back to three-legged dog. If you can match it to your breath, it's an inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale as you squeeze the knee forward. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, squeeze forward, nice and slow. And then bring the knee forward and hold. Step through low lunge. Find your blocks and find some movement. Inhaling, left leg bent. Exhaling towards straight. Moving the hips, moving the legs, exploring the muscles in whichever way feels right for your body. Finding your own muscles, your own holding patterns. And then come forward, low lunge, strong legs. Really focusing on this left leg, pulling up from the heel all the way to the glute. Strong in the torso, so you're not laying on this left thigh, right leg is still engaged. Conscious movement. We're going to bring the weight forward onto the left leg and slowly peel right heel towards the glute. Slowly back. Inhale as you come forward. Exhale as you slowly and with control lower back, maybe starting to lift up and challenge your balance. And then come forward, hold the right heel towards the glute, hover, little tiny squats. So lowering, left leg more bent, left leg towards straight. Small, tiny, controlled movement. Slowly send right leg towards straight, lower the toes, high lunge. Inhale, lift the arms up high, lengthen, hold and breathe. Frame out the front foot, left foot meets right, high plank, breathe and hold. And then straight back to down dog. Find your down dog. Connect with your conscious breath. Bend the knees, look towards the hands and either hop, float, or step forward. Forward fold, grab your band if you have a band. If you don't, you're just going to imagine you have it. You're going to wrap it just above the wrists on your arms. So start to pull your wrists into the band. A little bend in the knees. Make sure there's no tension in your neck. We're going to start to engage in the arms and shoulders and use the band as a guide to strengthen arms and shoulders. So take a deep inhale, bend the knees, rise all the way up, arms overhead, pressing into the band. And hold here. Find your breath. So if you do not have the band, you can still make this movement. Just imagine that you're pushing into a band. So imagine you have restriction around your arm. We're going to take a little baby chair. So bend the knees, bring the hips down, little small chair. Make sure it's a chair that you can hold with a soft low back and strong legs. So don't go so far that you're straining your ankles, your low back, or you're too tired. We're going to bring our arms a little bit down towards the ground, hold and engage into the bands. We're going to pull the right arm open and then back. So it's a small movement if you have the band while trying to keep everything else still. Small movement, pushing your right arm in. If you do not have the band, you're just going to be moving the arm out to the side and back, trying to keep everything else still. So little movement, right arm focus. Reset. Little movement, left arm focus. So pressing the left arm into the band and then back. And again, if you don't have the band, you're just going to move it nice and slow out and back, trying to keep everything else still. It's conscious movement. Notice that sometimes smaller movements are harder than the bigger ones. Bring it back to center. Both arms engaged, pressing into the band. We're going to lift up, inhale, exhale, squeeze down. Lift up, inhale, exhale, squeeze down, maybe hollowing out, more like a crunchy in the stomach. Inhale, lift, try to keep that engagement, pushing into the band. If you don't have the band, you're just imagining your arms are super strong and pushing out. Inhale up, exhale, squeeze down. Option to stay here if this is enough, or you're going to start to twist. So inhale up, bring your arms slightly past the left knee. Inhale up, bring your arms slightly past the right knee. Things to watch for. This movement comes from the core. Back, hips, everything remains still. So inhale up, exhale, cross. Inhale up, exhale, cross. This movement isn't coming from the sacrum, right, the core. Keep going, you can do it. Inhale up, exhale, hollow squeeze. Inhale up, release the bend, bring your arms down. We're going to take the arms one at a time in a big, slow circle. Nice big reverse circle as if you're swimming backwards in a lake. Imagine the sun beating down on your face. And then bring your hands to prayer mountain pose. Notice what is different. Notice what is present. Then we're going to wrap our band, if you have it, around just above the ankles. So, consciously building strength today. We're going to open up into goddess pose with the band. So find your goddess. If you don't have the bands, you're just going to find regular goddess. Come on down. Actively press your legs into the band. So find the point where your legs are super strong and engaged. Soften your low back, pressing into the band. Hold. We're going to pull the right heel in and out. Then left heel in and out. Conscious, slow, controlled movement. So if you don't have the band, you're going to imagine that your feet are locked by a band, that your legs are locked. If you have the band, you're going to try and keep that band strong and engaged despite movement. So pull it in nice and slow. And bring it back to goddess. Strong, engaged legs. Bring your torso up nice and long. We're going to bend the right knee more and straighten up the left leg. Come on over the right leg. So you can hold your arms out to make this more challenging. You can keep your hands on your hips. We're going to bend down a little more on this right leg. So find a position for your knee that is comfortable and feels safe. So you want to feel like you're strong here. And we're going to move the right leg towards straight and then bend. Right leg towards straight and then bend. Again, conscious, controlled movement. Pushing in to the bands. Little small controlled movement. And then hold yourself over the right leg. We're going to pull the left leg forward and back. Forward and back. Locking the right leg. Nice and strong in the right leg. Forward and back. Really pushing consciously into the band. If you have the band, consciously locking the muscles of the left leg. So really squeezing the muscles of the left leg if you don't have the band. Back and forth. Slow. Land light as you can on this foot. So you're really trying to control, lifting, pulling out of the ground, lowering, slow and controlled. Right glute should be fired up, maybe even burning. And then land, feet, star pose, lengthen the legs, take a little shake, reset, notice left and right sides, and then back to our goddess. Pressing into the band, nice and strong, find a strong goddess first. Option to little pulse goddess, so small, lift and lower. Or if you like, you're going to peel up the heels and lift and lower. So peeling up the heels, obviously more of a challenge. Breathe. And then lower the heels. We're going to bring the weight over on that left side, finding an angle for a knee that feels right and strong for us. Hold here. And then we're going to bend and straighten on the left side. Slow, controlled, conscious movement. Try to feel everything in the left leg all the way up to the glute. Find that mind-body connection. And then come over the left leg. Right leg is going to move forward and then back. Slow and controlled. Pressing into the bend, or at least engaging the leg as if it's filled with lead and you've really got to yank it up hard, strong muscles. Slow with control. See how light you can land on your toes. And then bring it back to stir. Release your band. Let your legs shake, see how it feels. If you have your block, grab your block. We're gonna forward fold. So, forward fold with your legs wide. Wider is gonna feel inner thigh. Closer together, you'll feel outer back of the legs. So make a choice about where you would like to feel your inner fold, your forward fold today. And come forward. Begin with your torso so your shoulders remain even with your hips. Hold here first. Feel a nice long spine. And then rather than folding forward and taking it into the lower back, experiment with engaging the legs. So you can imagine you're pulling your feet apart on the mat without letting them move. That can fire up the muscles of the legs. You can imagine you're pulling your feet together without letting them move. See how that fires up different muscles in the legs. You can take small and controlled movements with the hips, taking the inner thigh closer to the other inner thigh, and then back. So left to right, as if you're peeling the top of your thigh down towards the ground, nice and slow and controlled. You want this movement to come from inner thighs, not from mid-back or sacrum. Small, controlled, slow movement. Or just hang out. Find your breath. Nice, slow stretch. Wherever you're at, bring your feet to a comfortable position. So not your fullest stretch, or so not if you're at your widest point, bring them in a little bit closer. Bring the block in front of the right foot. We're gonna lean onto the right foot, peel up onto the toes of the left, finding those stabilizer muscles. Again, we're gonna peel the left heel up, hold and hover. So this movement, bring it through the leg, not from the sacrum. So peel the foot up with the muscles of the leg. Maybe bend the right leg a little more so you know for sure that it's coming from the leg, not from the back. We're gonna lower the heel and pull the heel up. Inhale as you pull it up, exhale as you squeeze it back down to the ground. Leg engaged. Conscious movement, not just flopping this leg around. We can move with momentum. Conscious, controlled, muscular movement. Lower the left heel down. Place your legs, give them a little shake, loosen and soften. Take your block in front of your left leg. Bring the weight over onto the left leg, little bend in the left leg. Peel the toes up, peel the heel up. Engage the right leg fully. Inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze the heel down towards the ground. Slow, controlled movement. And then bring the right foot down. Block comes back to the middle. Give your legs a little shake to reset first. And then options for some back strengthening. So bring your feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart. A little bend in the knees so that your legs are nice and strong. Option to grab your block, hold your block, make a little heavier in your torso. Or if you want to strengthen your shoulders, bringing the band to underneath just above your wrists on your arm. So we want to work our back here. We're using our back here. Knees are bent. Find the position that you can engage the muscles of the back. Make a small conscious controlled movement. So we're going to inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Lock the legs so that you're keeping muscle strength and control and you're not moving your hips around left or right. So engage your block, engage your band, maybe just holding your arms up. We're going to use the muscles of the back to lift our torso and then lower. This time really consciously thinking about our back. Trying to use the muscles of our back. Not from our core this time. Similar movement, trying to find connection to different muscles. Watch for tension in the neck. Try to bring your torso a little longer, a little further forward as if you're pushing your block away from you. Engage more of your back. And then release your block or your band. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, heart to heart. Move with your breath. Inhale, arms overhead. And exhale, heart to heart. Bring your heart to heart. Hold, pause. Find your conscious breath. We're going to inhale, arms overhead, and exhale, swan dive it down. Touch the ground. Step back, high plank. Hold a high plank. If you are tired and done, you can meet me in a crocodile pose all the way down on your stomach if you want the challenge. We're going to bring the weight onto the right arm, slow as we can. Bringing our left fingertips to the ground, lifting our left fingertips up, slowly coming to side plank. Press the hips up out of the ground, maybe lift the left leg. Breathe, hold. Slow back through plank. Find a solid plank and then bring the weight onto the left arm, pulling up out of the ground with your muscles. Right arm lifts, hips come over. Side plank, maybe lift the right leg. Breathe. Slow back, solid plank, strong. Lower the knees, crocodile pose, all the way down. Stomach down, hand on top of hand, forehead down, and shimmy the hips. Loosen, soften, let go. We're going to move and breathe for our back here. Again, conscious movement. So fire up the backs of the legs. Squeeze the glutes. And then we're going to lift our shoulders as we inhale, exhale as we lower. Trying to keep the head in line with the shoulders and thinking about moving the shoulders, not pulling from the skull. Conscious movement, trying to find the muscles of our back. Maybe we can lift our arms, maybe we can pull our feet up. But thinking about lifting and lengthening rather than lifting and getting a big arch. Finding the muscles of our back. Moving with our breath. Consciously directed mind-body connection. Move with your breath. And then lower it back down to crocodile. Shimmy the hips. Bring the heels up towards the ceiling and take a slow side to side with the legs. Just try to loosen, soften, and feel what is present in some of these stabilizer muscles. So the left and right movement, feel what is present on your sides of your legs. And then lower the feet, press back, child's pose. Come on up to a seated position. Bring your feet to the ground, knees up. So get nice and tall in the spine, really long in the torso. Hands are just for balance. We're going to pick up the right toes, hold and hover. So when you pick up the right toes, watch for this happening, rolling into the lower back. So bring your leg up, try to engage top of the leg now. So your right side, right inner, now top. Breathe and hold. We're slowly going to inhale, open up the right knee. Exhale, bring the knee back to the neutral. So inhale, exhale, midline. Inhale, open. So watch for this movement happening in the low back. Use the leg to make the movement happen. Stomach is engaged just to give you a little space to move your leg. And then lower the right foot. Take a little reset. Left side, lift and hover left leg. Watch for anything going on in the low back. Try to lift and engage through the torso, lifting the chest. And then peel the left knee open to the outside, left, and then back to midline. Move with your breath. Consciously move the leg, trying to find as many muscles on the leg to connect with as possible. And then bring the left leg down, bring both feet down, legs down, and then open up. So find inner thigh, wherever that is, opening the legs wide for you. Once you get here, lift the knees up a little off the ground. Push the heels into the ground. I apologize, my computer, I forgot to put it on mute today. So lift the knees, press the heels, engage the legs, and move left and right. So move, peel your knee up and then down. So moving left and right, trying to find openings in your inner thigh, and then find the point where you feel like you're finding a little stretch, inner thigh. You can hold static or just move. If you're going to come forward, try to lift up. So you're lifting through the spine, trying to get long in the torso. You can lean forward and find engagement without coming all the way forward and taking it into the lower back. Breathe. Starting to let go, starting to slow your breath. Your torso up, feet
center and find your way down to your back. So come on down to your back nice and slow. Remain feet down, knees up. Take a moment to land on the ground. So really find your hips on the ground, your shoulders on the ground, neck soft. Try to have that natural curve of your low back rather than overly flattening and tilting your pelvis. We're going to keep the left foot on the ground, knee up. We're going to lift the right leg. So watch the hips. Try to keep the hips even and grounded. You're going to look at the right leg. You want the knee bent, the heel about even with the knee. Fire up the leg. So nice and strong in the muscles. Pull the right heel out towards the right side. It shouldn't go very far. Just pull it enough so that this leg is entirely engaged. So keeping the heel, keeping the hip where it is. Pull the heel out and then back in. Pull the heel out and back in. Notice if you want to try and pull your hip around to try and make this movement bigger. Consciously move here. Pull the heel out and just engage outside of the leg. So you're looking for outer side of the knee, outer side of the ankle, outer side of the hip. Pull it back in, pull it out. Nice and slow and controlled. And then take the right heel, cross it underneath the left knee, press the right knee away from you, and notice if this feels different than when we did it at the start of class. Notice if you feel anything different. And if you have preferred ways that you like to take this figure four shape, maybe you like to bring the left knee in, maybe you like to straighten up the left leg, find the one that works for you, the one that feels right for you. Breathe. And notice perhaps a different shape, a different feeling in the right glute, in the right hip. Maybe the knee feels different. Just notice, tune in. The whole point of a yoga practice is to get that mind-body connection, union, conscious movement. Slowly unravel. Bringing the right knee over the left, bring both knees in towards the chest and the heels pull towards opposite shoulders. You should find the right glute space and then breathe into that stretch. You can rest your hands on your shins. Watch for pulling tension into your neck. Soften your neck. Soften your breath. Slowly unravel. Right foot back down to the ground, knee up. Take a side sway of the knees and hips. Notice left and right sides. And then right knee up, foot on the ground. Left knee lifts. Left leg lifts. Foot even with the knee. Solid grounded hips. Pull the left heel out towards the left as far as it will go. Pull and engage. And then you're going to pull the heel out. Push the heel in. Pull the heel out, push it in. It's a small, tiny controlled movement looking for those outer stabilizer muscles. Notice anything else that seems to be firing up. Maybe you're bringing tension into your face, your chest. Check in. Find all your other muscle groups. Notice what's going on. Breathe. Conscious movement. And then take the left ankle, cross it just underneath the right knee. And maybe notice a different shape, a different feeling from when we began class. Connect in. Slowly slide left knee over right. Draw the knees in towards the chest and heels towards opposite shoulders. This time left glute space. Breathe. Slowly unravel. Both feet on the ground, knees up. Sway the knees side to side. Notice what is present. Really, really, really finding all of your focus in your legs. Feel your legs. Feel what is present. Notice the muscles of your legs. Wiggle the toes. Feel the feet. And then make a decision about where you would like to be for your final resting pose. Maybe you need props. Maybe you want to be in full Shavasana. Maybe you have an entirely different pose you would like to be in for today. Maybe you want to try child's pose for your resting pose, or crocodile. Or maybe you want to curl up in fetal position. This is your practice. Find a pose that you can release all muscle tension in. That's the point of the pose, releasing muscle tension. Resting. So as you're starting to settle in, starting to scan the body, send your awareness consciously around your physical body, looking for places that you commonly hold tension. And if you don't know where those places are, just start a scan looking at all of the body in a pattern. So it might be helpful to start at the toes and work your way up. Looking for places where you're still holding tension. And we're going to think about consciously sending our breath around our body. So our breathing is breathing in fresh and releasing out what we no longer need. So we're going to use that as a way to guide ourselves into relaxation. So imagining that the fresh oxygen that we're drawing into our lungs, we're going to intentionally send throughout our body. We're going to direct it consciously. So breathing in fresh and releasing out what is no longer needed. Really consciously thinking about that for a couple of breaths. Perhaps with each breath you feel each breath in you feel a little refreshed, and with each breath out you feel a little heavier, a little drawn to the ground, a little more released into gravity. And then we're going to consciously pull that fresh energy all the way down to the tips of the toes. So drawing in your fresh energy, pull it all the way down to your toes. And then send out anything holding and gripping in the feet. Send it out. Breathing in fresh. And releasing out what is no longer needed. And then we're going to bring our fresh energy into the hips. So into the hips and the glutes and the lower back. So across this lower torso space and across the tops of the thighs and the backs of the thighs. So thighs, glutes, low back, stomach. Think about this space being our fight or flight space, this space that fires up, getting us ready to flee. It gets all strong, it turns off our digestion, and it starts to fire up the muscles. And we can hold a lot of tension here. We can get stuck in that tension of ready to flee. So we're going to consciously think about drawing in fresh energy to this space and softening it. Maybe even taking a moment to say to ourselves, right here in this moment, all of my needs are met. Just consciously trying to give ourselves as many cues as possible to let ourselves know that it is okay to arrive in the present moment. It is okay to let go and soften and loosen. And then consciously sending that energy across the front of the chest. Over the shoulders, and down the arms to the tips of the fingers. Drawing in fresh. Particularly paying attention to the palms of the hands, noticing if we're gripping. Noticing if our hands are still clenched in stress, clenched in tension. Softening, sending fresh, soft energy to our hands, to our fingertips, around these joints that we use all the time, our wrists, our shoulders, our elbows. Softening, loosening. And then finally directing our fresh energy around the inside of our head. So perhaps imagining a little circular pattern sending in fresh and sweeping away tension. If it helps you, you can give it a visual. Maybe you give it a color. Maybe you give it some kind of visual, like imagining a river moving or a flowing of water, something moving through your head. As if you could sweep away the patterns of thought in your brain that are not helpful. So familiar patterns in our brain are useful. We have lots of them that help us in our lives. So familiar patterns help us drive from home to school, home to work, home to our familiar places without having to consciously remember every single step. So they're helpful to have these little patterns in our brain, but we also have very unhelpful ones that we get stuck in here. So maybe you imagine that these pathways are literally like little pathways in a forest. You can see little pathways that are well worn, like little animal pathways in a forest. You get little goat tracks and things in the forest. Imagine you have those same pathways in your brain. And you're just going to consciously send your energy as if it's a soft breeze, sweeping the pathways clear. And it's not that you wipe away memories and things that are disturbing. It's that you wipe away that familiar pathway so that perhaps the new pathway that you find there is a little less unsettling. Maybe you just stop finding that pathway, and the memory that's been bothering you all this time, it's just a thing that's part of your life, and the pathway that you've traveled to get to that, the emotion that's attached to that, some of that can be swept away and let go of. So imagine just consciously moving your energy through your head,
sweeping away what's no longer needed. Thinking about, as we sweep away unhelpful pathways, that perhaps they're there because at first they were serving a purpose. So sometimes when we have a traumatic experience, when we have something that we're experiencing, we do need to go over it to process it, to kind of put it in its place and sort it out, get it processed in our system. So some of these pathways, some of these patterns in our existence exist because they were helpful at some point, but they can get stuck. So maybe rather than thinking about shoving things away, aggressively pushing things out of the way, thinking about thanking ourselves, thanking our system for trying to protect itself, being grateful for the ways that our system puts in place to try and protect itself. Thanking it and saying perhaps that you're ready to move on, you're ready to let go. Letting your own internal wisdom, your own healing process know that you're ready to move on, you're ready to let go. And this isn't a magic cure. This isn't something that will happen overnight. We just keep coming back and trying these little tricks and techniques and building blocks. And the more that we connect within and tell ourselves that we're ready, the more that this process will begin to become part of our integrated self. So if you have the time to take, spending, letting go, releasing, if you're in a good space, you're ready to just stay here, switch us off, be ready, take the time you need. If you need to finish up at the 60-minute mark, we are coming up on that mark. So begin to bring some more awareness to the physical body, some wiggles of the fingers and toes, and then curl up in a ball in a fetal position on whatever side is calling to you. Taking a moment just to consciously be in a little curled up protective ball, connecting to the purpose and shape of this pose. So consciously being in this pose, reminding us of a time in the womb when all of our needs were met, and we had not judged ourselves as negative or positive. We were simply a spark of life. So come to this pose to remind yourself that that spark of life exists within, unchanged by our experiences. And then slowly and consciously coming up to a seated position, bring your hands at prayer heart space, taking a moment to acknowledge your own internal wisdom, your own internal healing system, your own internal strength. And then from connecting within to our own inner wisdom, send out kindness and compassion. Maybe you have someone in mind, or just imagine sending it out to our community in general. May all beings be peaceful and at ease. Thank you so much for joining us.